Andrew, I just want to do a quick note here on the Fifth Amendment, since I know people are puzzling over how you can take the Fifth Amendment when you're asked where you went to college, for example, or what your age is, and all these things. And many of these assertions of the Fifth Amendment could be broken in another setting, since they obviously do not involve any potential self-incrimination, and it's just a device the witness is using. But when they're in that committee setting and they can't immediately kind of go to a judge and ask, for a ruling to force the witness to answer what college you went to, they just keep proceeding with these things and accepting all of these Fifth Amendment things, because in that room, there's basically nothing they can do about it.
That's right. So there definitely is, in the 34 transcripts, there's definitely a lot of over-assertion of the Fifth, as you said, with respect to questions that couldn't possibly incriminate the person. It should be noted, though, that some defense lawyers take the view that because they don't want to be accused of waiving the Fifth Amendment, they instruct their clients to try and basically take the Fifth to everything. And of course, the government, whether it's, the DOJ prosecutors or congressional investigators, are not really interested that much in things like what is your age and did you go to Duke? And so it's really not worth litigating that. And on the substantive questions, unfortunately, or maybe fortunately, the 34 people who were taking the Fifth all seem to have a valid Fifth Amendment. That is, the Fifth Amendment doesn't require a lot in order to make that assertion. It's enough if a truthful answer to the question would tend to incriminate you. And so it's a very low standard for being able to assert your Fifth Amendment right. And although we here in the public can use that against somebody and think, gee, if that's the standard, they probably have something to hide, that is not something that can be used by the Department of Justice in a court of law. The assertion of the Fifth Amendment right is a constitutional privilege, and it can't be commented on or brought up in court in any way to try and tarnish the person. But having said that, there is still a fair amount that you can learn from even these transcripts. So one, Enrico Tarrio, who is on trial right now for being head of the Proud Boys, and he's on trial in D.C. for seditious conspiracy, he actually says in his transcript that he is the chairman of the Proud Boys and has been the chairman for 3 years, so during a critical time, meaning during January 6th. So that is a direct statement that is admissible in court. And the second thing that you could learn from these transcripts is essentially looking at the questioning. So here's an example of what I mean. Garrett Ziegler, who worked for Peter Navarro in the White House, is asked by the investigators, isn't it a fact that you told your wife to leave D.C. prior to January 6th? Obviously meaning that you are aware that there would be violence. Now, he takes the Fifth, but that, if you are Jack Smith and his investigators, is something you're going to dig deep on. Like, how do they know that? Can they get the spouse to testify? Is it worth immunizing Garrett Ziegler to get at the truth? Because if you immunize him, he's then forced to testify. He no longer has the Fifth Amendment. So there are things that can provide some leads, albeit tomorrow, I think we'll probably learn a whole lot more when we get the report and footnotes and a lot of the appendices and underlying documents.